Welcome back to the channel. I'm Austin, and it's time for the Krig vs Fara, discussing which one is the best AR in Warzone. First, I'll go over the stats to help you decide which weapon is the best for you. Then I'll give you my opinion based on my extensive use of each gun, and then finally give you the best class setups at the end. We're going to go over the most important stats for long-range assault rifle options, and to start off, we're going to go with max bullet velocity, where the Fara comes out with a slight advantage with 1155 meters per second compared to the Krig's 1135. This isn't a big deal because they both easily make it into the meta bullet velocity for long-range options. One aspect the Fara comes out way ahead of is going to be in fire rate. 790 compared to the super slow 652 for the Krig. This helps make the Fara feel much more consistent and more forgiving to TTK when you miss shots. And if we take a look at the Krig's average damage, it's going to be 34.5 compared to the Fara's 31.5. But if we want a full damage breakdown, including the head, chest, stomach, and limbs, what we're going to see is the Krig comes out on top with all these damage values. However, the Fara is going to feel more consistent with its damage output, not only because of its fire rate, but because you can see the damage doesn't drop off between chest to limb shots, whereas the Krig has a damage drop off from chest to stomach. So this is going to make it much more important to keep your aim high with the Krig, or the TTK will drop off. This holds true at long range as well. However, as you can see, the Fara will actually match the Krig's stomach and limb damage with its chest shots and below, giving the Fara a nice advantage at range against the Krig. Now that we've gone over fire rate and damage, TTK has to follow, right? That's what I'm thinking. So for the most likely time to kill at close range, the Fara is going to be a bit better with a 608 to 644 advantage. The Krig takes 8 shots to kill versus the Fara's 9 shots to kill, but with the Krig, 4 of the 8 shots have to hit the chest or head to get that time to kill, whereas with the Fara, you can hit any part of the body and it's still going to kill in 608 milliseconds, which is faster than the Krig, which I think is a very nice advantage. But if you can get 2 headshots with the Krig, the TTK is going to drop to a very nice 552, and with the Fara, you need at least 3 headshots to lower the time to kill to 532. But hitting more than 2 headshots at any range is always a bit challenging unless you're one of the many hackers within this game. Then go right ahead and use whatever weapon you want. I'm sure you'll do fine. And before we go over the long range time to kill, I have to talk about base range itself, and the Krig is going to come out way ahead of the Fara with a 38 meter range compared to 27. So this is going to be nice, sweet spot for the Krig to make it kill faster than the Fara. Moving to the long range TTK, the Fara is going to come out with a huge advantage of 684 to 736. Now the Fara takes 10 shots to kill, and you can hit any part of the enemy to get this time to kill. 10 shots to the limb will still kill, but with the Krig it takes 9 shots to kill if you can hit 8 chest shots, which is what gets you this 736 TTK. And if you only hit 7 chest shots, it's going to switch it over to 10 bullets to kill, and even though that's the same number as the Fara, it will kill nearly 150 milliseconds slower because of its dreadfully slow fire rate. This leads to the Fara being much more forgiving to use and feel much more consistent than the Krig because it keeps the same damage across the body. The Krig will sometimes feel like it's shooting marshmallows at your enemy. Taking a look at damage per mag, the Krig will come out ahead with a 1740 to 1560 advantage. This stat is more important the bigger the mode. This makes the stat the most influential when you're playing quads because you can knock more players with 1 mag. Switching over to long range damage per second, the Fara is still a little bit better with 342 DPS compared to 315. So all this means is when you're shooting at long range, you're going to be able to get more damage output than with the Krig. Finally, moving over to the movement stats, the Krig is going to have a few pros here. First, it has a quicker ADS, movement, and reload. As you see the stats coming up on screen, this is a little bit strange to me considering that the Krig's advantage, we haven't talked about recoil yet. The Krig is basically the lowest recoil weapon within Warzone right now, and the Fara isn't too far off either, but the Krig is definitely the easiest weapon, in my opinion, to aim within all of Warzone. All these stats suggest that it gets a benefit at close range over the Fara. With its low recoil, you would think long range is its advantage, but its movement stats are actually fairly good for an assault rifle. So it's a bit of a confusing move here by the devs to mismatch the Krig's benefits. As you can see, this is what they are. ADS, movement, and reload has an advantage across the board over the Fara. If you guys could do me a quick favor and like this video, it really helps out. Alright, I've given you all the relevant stats for these weapons, and it's time for my recommendation. the Fara. You've been hearing me say how consistent and forgiving this weapon is, and it even has a better TTK across the board over the Krig. So even if you have slightly more recoil with it, it's still going to be the superior weapon in my eyes. Now I feel like I can finally say this. I personally hate the Krig. I was raging the entire time I was using it. You can ask my friends. They were taking all of my kills. I kept on getting 4 kills for 3,000 damage because it takes so long to kill. I clearly wasn't hitting enough chest shots, so that could be partially on me for that one, but I'm gonna just blame the Krig and never use it. So now that we've gone over my hatred for the weapon, let's get into the best class setups. We're going to start off with my recommended long-range assault rifle, the Fara, and what we're going to be doing for this build is getting the bullet velocity up, recoil control up, as well as damage range up. So what we're going to start off with is the muzzle, and we're going to do the GRU suppressor because it does all 3 of those things: damage range, bullet velocity, and vertical recoil control. And then when you move over to the barrel, you've got to use the 18.7 Spetsnaz RPK barrel. Same thing as the GRU suppressor, we get everything checked off. And then when we move over to the optic, we need something that adds zoom to it. And people usually either use the axial arms 3 times or the royal and cross 4 times. But I like the axial arms one because it doesn't affect your ADS nearly as much as the royal cross. This one is going to be my preferred choice. And then for ammunition, we always want to go for more rounds. And to not hurt our ADS too much, we're going to be going with the 60 round mag. And then for the last attachment, this is where you can differ, but since I'm going for just the ultimate precision Fara, I'm going to put on the Spetsnaz grip right here because it gives you horizontal recoil control and vertical recoil. This is how I would build it, but if you want something with a little bit more strafe speed and it doesn't hurt your ADS as much, we would take off this Spetsnaz grip and then we would throw on over the skeletal stock because this gets your ADS firing move speed up, aim walking speed, and sprint to fire time, so this is going to be a little bit more versatile. But since we're going to pair this with a sub anyways, I don't think we need all that. I think you go with just the ultimate accurate long range Fara here, and this is my build. Alright, so you guys already know how I feel about this weapon, but we're going to move on over to the class setup with the Krig, and we're going to be building it pretty similar to the Fara, but we're going to lean into its ADS and movement advantages. So we're still going to be using the same muzzle and barrel, they just have a different name, agency suppressor, because it gets your recoil control, bullet velocity, and damage range. Same thing with the 15 CMV mil spec for the barrel. It does all the things we want on it, bullet velocity included. And then from there, we're going to go to the optic. You're going to have the same 2 choices here as before. The axial arms 3 times doesn't affect your ADS as much, and it still gives you a good zoom. And then from there, ammunition, we got to go with the Stagnag 60 round because more ammo is always a good thing. Last part, we don't need a field agent grip because it's already so accurate. So this is where we can have a little fun with the Krig. And for the rear grip, I personally prefer the airborne elastic wrap because it gives you ADS, flinch resistance, and aiming stability. The serpent wrap has less cons and only helps ADS. So if you prefer that, you could choose it. But if you don't want this airborne elastic wrap, you could always go over to the stock and help with strafe speed. But since the Krig's main advantage over the Fara is going to be its ADS improvement, that's why I go with the airborne elastic wrap. And then this is going to be your best build for it. Don't be like me and make sure to get chest shots with this Krig. Okay, so now if you want to know what sub to pair with these weapons, I'm going to have 2 videos pop up on your screen right now. I've got other versus videos, and then you can see which one you want to use. I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.